says we're live, but I just want to make sure it's working everywhere else. Not seeing it on YouTube yet.
I see you on YouTube right now. I just turned it on. Okay, hello. I
All right, we're going to
rarely
start
hear
with
us.
a little bit of a moment of silence. Welcome everybody to Tiger Talks Wrestling. Can you hear me at least on here?
I can hear you. I can hear you from here, but I can't hear you up there. Rarely hear us.
A little bit of a moment of silence. Welcome everybody to Tiger Talks Wrestling.
Oh shit! Popped them on the screen so quick, like
Coming through there.
holy shit! Yeah, we're good.
Good. I wanted to make sure. Since we've been on air, had some things going on. Uh, I was out of town for a week, so we couldn't do our prediction show for Backlash. But for anybody who was wondering, we did all three, Eddie, John, and myself, go for one for the Backlash predictions. Only match out was Becky and Lyra's match. I'll pick Becky to win, Lyra won. But for those of you who are new to the show, perhaps we are using a new streaming service called Riverside.fm. Better than the. I am your host, Tony. Access your video. Oh, that'll be different to see different things pop up here. I am joined, by the way, Eddie. Welcome into the show.
Hey, thank you so much. I am live from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. I'm up in the Bob Euchre seats. It cost me a whopping $36, and this is what I get. I mean, look at the beautiful view from the Bronx. I mean, look at that. But the problem is the Yankees are not home until tomorrow because they just came from Seattle. But yeah, this is the view you would have got if I was there.
Like when you will be there here in a few weeks.
Oh yes, 19 more days. I'll be back home in my wonderful city and my wonderful birthplace when I was born, Bronx, New York, and I could be with the normals. Which mean I could talk to somebody, they curse me out, and I curse them right back, and then we go get a cup of coffee.
Normal.
So that works.
But anyway, should be a fun time for you and hello. Oh.
Okay, yeah, we are really bad. I'm getting a lot of echoes on your end. And I bet you're getting the same thing with me.
Let me check. I don't know what some of these buttons are that are on here. Mark, mic, speaker. Here. Let's try. Oh, I can't switch microphones, so I can't do that. Can you hear better on this one, maybe?
I can.
You can change speakers. That
Yeah, I can't hear.
what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear you perfectly with that one.
That one good?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Like I said, this is something new, so we're trying it out, and it might take a little bit to get used to certain things on here. Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, please do.
At the top of the show, we are here in remembrance of course, Sabu. Yeah. Sabu, Terrence, Funk, whichever one. Um, Unfortunately, passed away recently. Uh, Quite the career he had in wrestling, and yes, he had his retirement match just a couple weeks before he passed away, which is shocking. Um, but Sabu, of course, everybody knows him as the homicidal, genocidal madness, if you will, madman. Um, Remembered for his ECW days, but he's had runs in WWE, TNA, brief appearance or two. He's been almost everywhere. Uh, Eddie, what are some of your? We're here to talk about Sabu. What are some of your favorite memories of Sabu, whether it be from ECW or from any other promotions?
Well, my fondest memories of Sabu. I mean, he's an original ECW original. I mean, there is not a lot of left of ECW originals because half of them either basically it's a let's just say this because we're trying to keep it thin. There's a lot of black clouds all over the ECW originals. Some of them good, some of them bad, because some of them are if you look at the list, some of them died in ways that you don't expect. But with Sabu, the guy was insane. I mean, he did stuff like his uncle did, the original Sheik, which you could watch. Anybody that wants to know about the original Sheik, the Dark Side of the Ring on Vice TV had a documentary about him, about the original Sheik, and they talked about Sabu, and they talked about another great ECW original, the WWE Hall of Famer, Rob Van Dam. Um, Sabu had some great matches. If you go back to the matches he had with Taz, and then he left ECW, went to WCW, and basically he got used as a real wrestler, and he never fit the criteria of Eric Bischoff. But Sabu did matches with Terry Funk, did matches with Mikey Whipwreck, Tajiri. The man basically did a barbed wire match and basically tore himself open to the point that he took duct tape so he could continue the match. What the hell? Have you ever heard of a man do that before? Duct tape themselves so they can continue wrestling. That is insane. And then he broke his neck and still put a lot of gauze all over his neck to hold his neck in place while he could finish a match. That's what you call one of the greatest hardcore wrestlers of all time. No offense to Mick Foley, Terry Funk because he was middle aged and crazy, but you put Sabu up in that upper class. The man was one of the greats. I feel like he had his best moments in ECW. WWE, let's say this, his only big moment that he had was when he wrestled John Cena at a pay-per-view. But that ECW was a watered-down version of Tip Man's Genius. So, yeah, best moments of Sabu was in his ECW days.
Yeah, that's for sure. Um, I'm gonna run down some stuff about Sabu here in a moment. It's funny as all, but when you look on Wikipedia, they mention he was born in either 63 or 64. So he's either 60 or 61, is what they're
They
claiming.
don't even know.
apparently nobody.
Sabu.
Right. And he did go by. He went by the Sabu, the Elephant Boy, Samu, Terry SR, Terry Snuka, Terry Brunk, and Sabu of the Jungle. Besides Sabu, of course, we know, as you mentioned, he was trained by the Sheik, the original Sheik. Playing recently. ECW just 3 weeks prior to his death against, of course, Madman and Manila. In an article on PW Insider, referenced the fact that he passed away from a heart attack. So I just now seen that on the Wikipedia page. But yes, of course.
I mean, hell,
Mentioned at the top of the show, his main nickname.
Hell, that's the
love.
That's the only thing he died of.
Genocidal.
That's the only thing he died of was a heart attack. All the shit he did to his body was a heart attack that got him. Holy shit! It weakened him.
I know, right?
Why is it reconnecting?
It's crazy with all the stuff he's gone through and wrestling.
Are you okay? Because it just popped up on the screen that it was reconnecting. Are you good? Are you good on your end?
You said something about reconnecting?
Yeah, it said something about reconnecting on the screen, and then you talked. I want to make sure it's good on your end.
Everything's fine on my end.
Okay, so we're good. I just want to make sure you're good.
Y'all good?
Yep.
So, mention the main nicknames. Of course, he loved to use for his moves, including the heel kick, distance of the chair, the buster, the jumping leg drop with the chair, or the Arabian, the jumping, having a steel chair into the back of the through. He also occasionally used the Arabian clutch, a version of the camel clutch that was his uncle. Didn't he actually said he had them. Interesting to note. When you go in and look at his accolades, they mention Billtown Championship Wrestling. Must have been earliest appearances in the circuit of some sort. He was there, inaugural, and actually, this wasn't 2016. He was a BCW heavyweight champion, title tournament winner. Border City Wrestling champion once, and then you get into of it, the Eastern, aka later known as Extreme. He was the ECW
championship wrestling.
The heavyweight champion one time, the ECW World Television Champion one time, Tag Team Champion 3 times, King of the Hill in '96, second ever. When you think of Sabu and his time in ECW, there's one person in particular in my mind that you think of, and with him, well, two really. That, of course, being Rob Van Dam. Those two men together were 2-time ECW World Tag Team Champions and Alfonso. Um,
Wow, I never knew he had that much
I
championships.
personally
Holy
never really
shit.
watched ECW back in the day, but some of the things I have seen, full episode, boom, eventually, but not many. But as I was saying, him and RVD, I remember seeing a lot of clips and stuff like that. Those two partners, also great enemies at times. I remember as well in ECW. Were great partners, very memorable.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you look at Sabu's history with Rob Van Dam, he trained with him under his uncle, the Sheik. And then they became world tag team champions by beating the Dudley Boys, which is a very hard thing to do. And I think they beat Balls Mahoney or Axel Rod or whoever the other team was. But Rob Van Dam at the time was also the ECW television champion, the longest reigning at that time. And they Sabu always wanted that title. I always like Sabu always the feud he had with Taz. I mean, him and Taz fought over the world title, and even fought over the FTW championship. I mean, that title had lineage. The last champion was Hook, and Hook was the last champion, but I always felt like that belt mean absolutely shit to anybody, but all the guys that held that belt, you know, were legends. You know, I do hope, and maybe you could tell me if you think I'm wrong. I do hope that Sabu will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame next year. I mean, he had a great career. I know it was hardcore, but he still deserves his accomplishment in the world of wrestling.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that. The fact that you bring that up, Sami Zayn actually on social the announcement of Sabu's passing mentioned that he's been fighting years to try and get Sabu inducted into the Hall of Fame because he felt that Sabu deserved it. Um, if Sami Zayn of all people is fighting for somebody to get put into the Hall of Fame, they would have to consider it at least, if not actually do it. Now, unfortunately, that Sabu has passed away.
Yeah. I mean, and I know this is not related, but if Pete Rhodes could be taken off the ineligible list for Major League Baseball to be inducted into the Hall of Fame of Cooperstown, let's not have Sabu go into the WWE Hall of Fame. Hell, Pete Rhodes is in the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, he got there by being
He is.
chokeslam and tombstone by Kane multiple times, but if Pete Rhodes can have a chance for the Hall of Fame, MLB Hall of Fame, put in Sabu. But Tony, I have a question to you, and I have a question for people that's watching us. Where do you, as a fan of wrestling, where do you put hardcore wrestling in with the regular part of sports entertainment? Because that's always been a thorn in people's asses. Do you consider hardcore wrestling actually wrestling?
I mean, it has a place. It obviously, um, yes, but obviously, it's a different kind of wrestling because it's not your catch as catch can technical wrestling that some people love, like the Bret Harts and guys like that did. But it's still, I feel like if it wasn't for ECW and their hardcore wrestling, I don't think wrestling would be as popular as it is today, to be honest. Because you can still hear ECW chants all the time. Still hear ECW chants.
You know what? I actually hear you more better on Twitch.
Do you?
Yeah. It's coming out clear on Twitch. But
I was gonna say I don't have it. I have it playing on YouTube, but I don't have it so I can hear it on YouTube. So
yeah. So I put hardcore wrestling like you do. But I put hardcore wrestling in two countries. I put it in Japan because what they do over there with wrestling, it is basically one of the roughest things because you got some organizations over there that are just straight ass hardcore. I mean, just ask Mick Foley. He can tell you how rough it was. You know, being in barbed wire match, exploding, you know, a ring being on fire. Sabu should know that because he was in a match with his uncle against one of the Japanese territory guys, and I don't know who the other guy is.
right.
And basically, they set the ring on fire. And Sabu's uncle got third-degree burns. And, you know, Terry Funky, who's alive, can tell you how many times him and Mick Foley basically tore their body up. You know, it's over there. But if you go over to Puerto Rico, you got Carlito's daddy. They do a lot of hardcore wrestling over there in Puerto Rico. I don't know that they do it now, but, you know, Savio Vega is doing stuff like that over in Puerto Rico. And yes, ECW. If it wasn't for ECW, I don't think we get WWE beating WCW for the Monday Night Wars because Vince never wanted to change. He wanted to keep it the gimmick way. And what would it have been if he actually did that? Would we see Doink the Clown as the new World Wrestling Federation champion? Wow. Did you hear me? Did you hear me say that?
Um, Sorry, can you hear me right now?
I can hear you. Did you hear what I said?
There we go. Yeah, I heard what you said. I was just making sure because it looked like I was frozen up on YouTube. Now it looks like it's working again.
Yeah.
There was something that popped up saying that the video couldn't be played or something like that. Just wanted to make sure we were all good. Um, yeah, you were saying ECW has its place, that's for sure. Sabu took a lot of chances throughout the years. Many different companies, like I mentioned, the fact that he trained actually, he began his wrestling career the same year I was born, actually, in 1985, in big time wrestling.
Jeez.
That's when he went by the ring name Sabu the Elephant Boy.
The name.
TSR, Sheik's Revenge. And Drunk wrestled for various promotions in Memphis, Michigan, Ohio, Canada, and Hawaii. 91, he wrestled the United States Wrestling Association, feuded with Jeff Jarrett and Robert Ford as Samu. then came to the WWF in 1993, 3 appearances, defeated Steeler, aka Scotty Too Hotty, as we know him, in a dark match before Raw on October 18th, 93. Lost to Owen Hart the next night for a dark match at a Wrestling Challenge taping. And on October 20th, defeated Scott Taylor again in a dark match at a Superstars of Wrestling taping. He'd then go to Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling from 91 to 94, which was in Japan. That's where he first had his death matches that he was part of. One in May of 92, teamed with his uncle, the Sheik, in a Ring of Fire death match against Atsushi Onita and Tarzan Goto. Sorry if I butchered those names. That match was set in a ring where the ropes were replaced with barbed wire with sheets soaked in gas wrapped around it. I think that was one of them you were kind of mentioning earlier.
Yes, it was. That's the one in the whole ring was melting, and Sabu and the owner of that company got out, but Sheik didn't get out. He was engulfed in it. He got out, and then he was still on fire when he was out, and Sabu threw water at him, and he turned around and looked at him. Oh, what the fuck are you doing? You know, he said, you're on fire. He said, so what? We're in a match. I'm like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, if you watch Dark Side of the Ring about the original Sheik, it shows the entire history of that man. And I never knew that the original Sheik had his own wrestling promotion in Detroit.
Right. Where Sabu pretty much got to start was here.
I've got the name of, but he played in the.
Here in Michigan.
He played in the. They played in. They were in the arena that was right before the Joe Louis.
Oh yeah, the Olympia, I think is what it was called.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Something along those lines, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it says here that Sabu competed in over 24 rope barbed wire death matches in Japan. Japanese hardcore matches, teamed with the Sheik, Tiger Jeet Singh, who I think was Tiger Ali Singh in WWE eventually, and Horace Boulder, of course, we know.
No, that was his dad.
Hogan, I believe.
That was his daddy.
WCW at one point.
Yeah, that was his daddy, Tiger out.
Okay.
Tiger Ali Singh, that was his father. Yeah.
Tiger Jeet Singh, yeah.
Wait, he teamed with Horace Hogan?
Sabu's final match in FMW in Japan was a loss debuting Hayabusa. Horace Boulder, it says. I assumed it was probably Horace Hogan, but it might not have been.
Yeah.
Hold on. It's got it so I can click on it. Yeah, it was Horace Hogan. Okay.
Oh. So he teamed with one of the loser Hogan family members.
Yeah.
Poor Sabu.
Of course, from Japan to ECW, Eastern Championship Wrestling at the time before it became Extreme. Yeah, right? I know. Double champion, teaming with the Tasmaniac in the early days. He would leave EC to go back to Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling, 1995, making 4 appearances. Teamed with Masahiro Chono in his first match to defeat Junji Tatsumi Fujinami. He was in there with some of the big names over in even team Saito to defeat Wild Pegasus back in the day and Dean Malenko. Wild Pegasus, of course, was a guy that we don't discuss the actual name of because of things that he did in his final days of living. A Wolverine, let's put it that way, better known as. So we mentioned also went to WCW. He made his debut WCW on September 11th, beating originally, but the decision was after the match. He put through a table. Had a couple victories over Mr. JL, including at Halloween Havoc. After the match at Halloween Havoc, Sabu's Uncle Sheik shot JL in the face with a fireball. And then Sabu's last match was on October 30th, 1995, when he went up against and defeated the Disco Inferno. Sabu had a very short run in WWE at the time in WCW in the first.
I'm sorry to say this. Anybody could beat the Disco Inferno.
Anybody could beat the Disco Inferno.
Yeah, like. Oh, and if people do not know who Mr. JL is, it's Jerry Lynn.
Yes. And it was. Sabu would leave WCW and go back to Japan to compete in both Big Japan and All Japan Pro Wrestling. Stuff for a couple years there. Oh, fun little 1996. Sabu had planned with the World Wrestling Federation. He was the original choice for the Sultan gimmick, but rejected the offer when he learned that he was going to be the Iron Sheik instead of the original Sheik, and the gimmick was given to Fatu, who he later would know as, of course, Rikishi.
Oh.
So I just read it.
Let's talk about that first before you move on. Man, what that character would have been like if Sabu was under there. No offense to Rikishi. What will that character be like with him? He would have had the Intercontinental Championship match against Rocky Maivia at WrestleMania 13. I mean, man, that would have been something different.
It would have been. It might have been bigger run at least for Sabu in WWE. He would have accepted it, but I can understand why he wouldn't when he found out the Iron Sheik was going to be the manager instead of the Sheik.
His uncle was 90. His uncle was in his.
But then
his uncle was in his what? 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
You have a former World Wrestling Federation champion, and the Sheiky baby, and Iron Sheik. I understand that. That's his uncle. I understand that the original Sheik is his uncle, but you're still with a great Hall of Famer. I mean, no offense. They both couldn't talk anyway, so who the fuck cares who it is?
You're not wrong. Of course, from 95 to 2000, Sabu was also in and around ECW, with Hack Myers, Dis Jack, Stevie Hughes, Too Cold, RVD, the lengthy feud we mentioned. Well, the names go on and on and on. They had their rivalry, him and BD, Sabu against the Can-Am Express. Can't forget they had a rivalry at one point with the Eliminators, Perry Saturn and John Cronus.
Oh, what a team that was!
New Jack. You could forget New Jack there.
and Mustafa.
Yeah. They actually had the Eliminators, Sabu and RVD, in a match based for the tag team titles at CyberSlam in 1996. 95, whichever that was. So. Of course, that had a rivalry with Taz after he dropped the Maniac part and just became Taz. And it was during the rivalry with Taz when Bill Alfonso actually turned on Taz and joined up with Sabu and Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
And then you can't forget the no rope bunch Sabu had with middle-aged and crazy himself, Terry Funk, for the ECW Championship. That was promoted at Born to Be Wired, promoted as Too Extreme, even for ECW.
It was too extreme for ECW. Bullshit. That was ECW back in the day.
That's what technically is what I know, right?
Too extreme for ECW.
And
Fuck
it gave
you.
us one of the most memorable moments in ECW history. Well, that's what they built it as. Promoted the match as.
I know. Come on.
But yeah, it gave us one of the most memorable moments in ECW history when Sabu attempted the Air Sabu corner splash on Funk. Terry moved and Sabu ended up colliding violently into the barbed wire, which tore open his biceps. And that's when he then asked for some tape, and Alfonso went to get some, taped up that 10-inch gash, as you mentioned earlier. Terry stated that he had never seen anything like what Sabu did that night. With both men so badly that it took several ring technicians armed with wire cutters to free them from the predicament. Huh. Paul Heyman afterwards said it was so gruesome, dared to schedule another one like it. They never had another barbed wire match in ECW because no one could top that one, and in good conscience, I never wanted anyone to try. Sabu did that match to win the second world title.
I mean, if you hear Terry Funk, one of the greatest hardcore wrestlers of all time, saying he never saw somebody do that, then you know he is legit one of the craziest motherfuckers going. If that's coming from Terry Funk, who did crazy shit himself, saying about Sabu, you made yourself a top guy.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen anytime I do that, apparently. What you're saying. But, because we had a comment there in the comment section. Troy Dan React says, how are you, fellas? Doing pretty good here.
We're doing good.
How you doing, Troy? Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, we appreciate it, bro. Thank you for.
I see him come across instead of popping them up on the screen because that seems messing up my.
No, that's fine. Thank you for coming in to basically honor the life and career of Sabu, one of the craziest motherfuckers in the world, and all that. So thanks for coming in and joining us tonight.
Appreciate it. But yeah, Sabu finished that match, won the title, only to lose it 8 days later to Shane Douglas in a three-way elimination match at Hardcore Heaven. And he'd team with RVD quite often from 97 through 2000. Which also, during that time, you'd see RVD with reigning ECW World Television Championship ring of all time. What you doing, Eddie? We see you, then we don't. We see you, now we don't.
Let's reconnect him again. Any ass? Are you good? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just don't see you. So
how about now?
It'll get there, I'm sure. Sabu wrestled. Yep, I can still hear you. Sabu wrestled his last televised match in ECW, in which he defeated C.W. Anderson on January 30th. His last, that's TV. Sabu's last match in ECW took place on February 26th, in which he defeated, get this, Scott D'Amore. I never realized Scott D'Amore.
Oh shit!
I forgot, if I did know at one point, that Scott D'Amore was in ECW at one time.
Holy shit! I totally forgot about that too. Huh. Wow.
Yeah. After he left ECW, Sabu would go on to the from 2000 to 2002, wrestling in Extreme Pro Wrestling, IWA Mid-South Wrestling, and Border City Wrestling, among others. April 20, 2000, he won a tournament to win the vacated XPW World Heavyweight Championship, defeating John in the first round, Damian Steele in the second, and the Messiah in the finals. He was the only champion to defend that title outside of the U.S. He would hold the title for a year until it was taken away in May 2001 by Josh Lassie, who was not present for an event. He would return to All Japan in 2000 as a singles competitor, and he competed against Abdullah the Butcher Kamala. 2001, he not Kamala, Kimala, K-I. Now, on July 8th, 2001, he defeated Angel at an CW reunion show in New York. And two worked for Pro Pain Wrestling. He won the 3PW World Heavyweight title, defeating Gary Wolf on October 19th. Dropped the title back to him on December 28th. 19. And make is back in Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling from 97 to 02. World Wrestling Stars in 2002 and 2003. But also in 2002, he would jump ship to Total Nonstop Act Wrestling. TNA. One of the matches in his run from there was a ladder match against, of all people, the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. But that match would actually end in a no contest because why not? Mal is, Here's a little side note. In 2004, Sabu would actually team with Raven to defeat Raven's former Gathering Jays, De Niro, and CM Punk.
Wow.
Early days of CM Punk.
Right. Wow, that's that's big for Punk.
In March of 2004, he began feuding with the Alpha Male Monty Brown and big for Punk. In March of 2004, Sabu would begin feuding with the Alpha Male Monty Brown and the Monster Abyss, who outnumbered him on several occasions after Raven failed to watch his back. Raven and Sabu would eventually have an empty arena match, or were supposed to, but Sabu refused to wrestle him, saying that he had promised his uncle, the Sheik, that he would never fight Raven. Raven waged a campaign against Sabu, disrespecting the memory of his uncle, and assaulting Sabu's friend Sonjay Dutt. Early days of Sonjay Dutt as well. Till Sabu finally broke and attacked Raven on July 23rd. Raven would beat Sabu in a match on August 4th, and a scheduled return match on August 8th was canceled because Sabu suffered a legitimate serious back injury. So he was out of action for quite a while with that back injury, and he ended up getting a virus when he was in the hospital for 10 months at that point. There was a benefit show to help raise money for him. And Sabu appeared at Hardcore Homecoming, where he defeated Terry Funk and Shane Douglas in a three-way no-ropes barbed wire match. And then, of course, 2 days later, he would make an appearance at ECW One Night Stand to defeat Rhino. At that point, we thought that was pretty much the last time we'd see ECW, but we would find out it wasn't. He would return to TNA for the rest of 05 and 06. Go ahead. What were you gonna say, Eddie?
Let's not talk about the watered down version of it, because then we have to bring up the ECW Zombie.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about it, but I'm getting there because he had a little more to do in TNA first before we got to WWE.
Almost definitely.
Because when Sabu did return to TNA in July 29th, 2005, he teamed with Raven to face Jeff Jarrett and Rhino. Rhino and Jarrett would win the match, with Rhino goring Raven through a table. Abyss appeared and attacked Sabu, starting a feud between those two. They'd have a match at Unbreakable in September, which Abyss won, with the Black Hole Slam on a pile of tacks match in that. Abyss was in Monsters Ball 2 Sabu was in Monsters Ball 2 at Bound for against Abyss and Rhino. Rhino won the match. Sabu also competed in a 10-man gauntlet match to decide the number one contender that same night. Rhino won. Man, I didn't realize he had that long of a feud with Abyss really in TNA, but he did. He made his final appearance in TNA was at Lockdown on April 23rd, 2006. Faced Samoa Joe for Joe's X Division title. Even though Sabu had a broken forearm, he still competed in the match and lost to Samoa Joe. Sabu was released soon afterwards from TNA. It tells you how easy Sabu was. Like you said, just taping himself up and then goes into a steel cage match with a broken forearm already. And I do remember watching TNA back then and seeing Sabu do that too. It's crazy.
I mean, you see wrestlers now.
One Night Stand too.
You see wrestlers now, and this is why I always have respect for Sabu. You see wrestlers now that if they have a hangnail, they don't go into a ring. Sabu cut himself, duct taped it, and had a broken arm, and basically still wrestled Samoa Joe. I mean, that was a young Samoa Joe, but still, it's Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, but still, it's Samoa.
Right. That it was. We won't talk too much about the WWE ECW days, but you mentioned his match he had with John Cena at Vengeance, the 10-man Extreme Battle Royal. He won to get a shot at John Cena on Raw, actually. But I want to go back to ECW One Night Stand 2 on June 11th of 2006. The match that Sabu had with Rey Mysterio was a really good match. Showed Sabu was the one spot that to this day I'll never forget, probably for the rest of my life, during that match was Rey Mysterio being on the table that was up from the guardrail to the ring apron, and Sabu is in the ring, runs across, and jumps out and hits that DDT through the table to Rey Mysterio. The way they both landed was something that'll always stick in my head. How either one of them was fine to continue that match and finish that match is amazing. Because Rey went head first for that table. There was no protection.
I mean,
and that was for the World Heavyweight title because Rey Mysterio was a World Heavyweight champion.
That is true. He was a world champion. It was right after WrestleMania. He had that belt, but
actually, that's wrong. They didn't finish that match because medical came out and declared neither one of them could continue, so Rey retained the title. So, but that is a spot, like I said, I'll remember for the rest of my life. So.
Oh yeah, I mean that was I watched that match.
Yeah, as you said,
at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Yeah, that was a rough one.
Yeah. The only match that really Sabu, I would say anybody could talk about that him being a part of in the WWE version of ECW was at least got a WrestleMania match out of it when the new breed against the ECW originals, of course. Which ECW originals won the 8-man tag match at WrestleMania. So, but then when they had Sabu got moved to Raw, it just was even worse in my opinion before he got released in the tour.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think the best moment in his WWE run, I bet like you just said, I think his best moment in WWE with the ECW version, the original was getting their WrestleMania moment. That was the best part of the entire run for Sabu. I mean, if you go down the list, you go to Rob Van Dam. The man held the WWF champ. He held the WWE title and the ECW title at the same time. Tommy Dreamer won the ECW championship, their version, and that was the shittiest title in the world. He didn't win the original one when they had it when they updated and make it look like a piece of gray stone, which was the ugliest fucking title in the world. But it was there. But yeah, other than that WrestleMania moment was pretty cool for Sabu and the originals.
And don't get me wrong, his match he had with John Cena was pretty good too. Fun little fact that Sabu has said was that John was really good with him in that match, and Cena actually they set up a couple things ahead of the match, but they called that match during the match. And if Sabu forgot any spots, John was right there and reminded him of those spots to do it. So John took care of Sabu in that match.
Oh, yeah. That's one thing about John that I got to respect with him. He takes care of his partner in the ring. I mean, he's like the Bret Hart version of this modern era, because Bret was the same thing. Bret could work with you and make you look like $1 million, like what Bret did with Bob Backlund. What he did with Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund was in his almost in his 50s, and Bret Hart made him look like $1 million. You know, that's what I feel like Sabu was getting towards the end of his career, but the guy can still do, but he was just, he wasn't the Sabu that we know from the early days of ECW. He was just a guy trying to survive and keep himself relevant in the wrestling business.
True. That is true. After getting released by WWE, he would make appearances from 2007 to 2010 on India scene. He'd go over to Mexico, AAA, competing against guys like R-Truth, Conan, X, Legion, Strangera. My bad if I butchered that. Damien 666, others. Went to Juggalo Championship Wrestling from 2007 to 2011, teaming up with the IC Point to defeat Trent Young Altar Boys at Bloody Mania.
Oh, shit.
See Rhino and Rob Con.
Oh, shit. Rhino. Sabu was a gigolo.
Well,
oh, my God.
was a jug.
Juggy, yeah. Juggalo, gigolo, it's still the same
On August
fucking
2nd,
J.
2010, Sabu would return to TNA. Right? August 2nd, 2010, Sabu would return to TNA as part of the ECW reunion show they did, where he would compete against Rob Van Dam in the main event for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship of Hardcore Justice on August 8th. RVD, of course, won in the Hardcore Rules match. In the following edition of Impact, the ECW alumni, known collectively as Extreme Version 2.0, were assaulted by AJ Styles, Kazarian, Robert Roode, James Storm, Doug Williams, and Matt Morgan of Fortune. They'd had their issues with Dixie Carter, and they had their feud with Fortune for quite a while that year. At Bound for Glory, Sabbath, Dreamer, Raven, Rhino, and Stevie repeated Fort Buchan's AJ Styles, Frankie Kazarian, Matt Morgan for money in a Lethal Lockdown match. October 21st edition of Impact, when RVD actually defeated Beer Money, James Storm and Robert Roode, after Sabu were defeated by Beer Money. My bad. Sabu accidentally hit RVD with his chair. Afterwards, upped each other before being brought up by the rest of EVP. Turning, they both shut point. Guys beat Fortune in a 10-man tag match, where each member of the ECW guys put their careers on the line. Oh, they competed against him. They lost, though, because AJ Styles won the match for his team by pinning Sabu. Therefore, Sabu was released or fired from TNA. Okay. Some of the things that TNA did back then was weird and off the chain, I guess, in a way, but you go back to the Indies from 2012 to 2021, competing in the ECW arena against Just Incredible at an Evolve event, Extreme Rise Championship Wrestling, World Championship Wrestling, whatever. Bunch of different promotions, even at Nick Cage's GCW event, losing to Nick Cage on August 17th, 2018. Originally announced his retirement from professional wrestling on November 5th, 2021. In 2019, he'd make his final Impact Wrestling appearance as he, at United We Stand on April 4th, teamed with Rob Van Dam to get defeated by the Lucha Brothers. And then September 4th, it was reported that Impact would give him back for more dates in the future. He beat Rohit Raju, or competed with, and they went to a double countout and Impact taping. Then at Bound for Glory, October 20th of 2019, Sabu competed in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match, and that was his last appearance in TNA. At Bound for Glory 2019. And in 2023, Sabu made an appearance on Dynamite, where he was the special guest enforcer when Adam Cole face each other at Double or Nothing in an unsanctioned match. And of course, after that, his last appearance ever in the match against Joey Janela at Spring Break 9 or GCW. So, quite the career, as Sabu spent many years in several different promotions in the US and Mexico.
Yeah. That one promotion that you talked to about, the XPW. Yeah, that was an interesting promotion because
Mm-hmm.
the guy that ran it also ran hardcore wrestling, and he was I don't want to say because it's dirty. He did some adult movies, so he did it all in one organization. I mean, you could watch him. You could watch it on the dark side of the ring. They even talk about it all the time. Um, like you said, Sabu had an amazing career. I remember in '97 when the WWE, at the time the WWF went back to the Manhattan Center and they got invaded by ECW. Um, Taz was in the ring facing, I think, Mikey Whipwreck. And at the time, WWE had that big Raw sign that they used to come out of. Sabu was on top of it, and basically the thing rocked and he fell. Thank God Taz security was there, or Sabu would have cracked his head on the rail. I mean, you just go over to Netflix and you could watch that. You could watch that Invasion. They have it on Netflix right now. Sabu had some in matches. He had matches like you said with Monty Brown and TNA, and then he had matches with him as Marcus Colvert. What a name, Vince! You know, So that was a thing, and but yeah, I mean, Sabu had a great career, and people, if you don't get a chance to watch his matches, they're doing a remembrance on Peacock of Sabu's. We mentioned this go down. Watch his matches. The guy was the best at what he did. Yeah, was it a little unorthodox? Yes, it was. But the man was the man who that was Sabu, and I'm gonna miss all the memories of him. Watching him from his Eastern Championship Wrestling days to his ECW days, and then to his TNA days. And AEW too, but he will be missed by a lot of fans that loved his career.
It's true. Very true. There'll never be another wrestler like Sabu. That I'm certain of. Some may say that's a good thing, but that's their opinion. Uh, he, to me, you might have had all those nicknames for him. He had all the years that he wrestled, but to me, he'll always be remembered, as you said, as one of the greatest hardcore wrestlers of all time. Um, no offense to the hardcore legend Mick Foley, but he is even more so a hardcore legend. And that is the one thing I feel like he'd want everybody to remember him by is the matches and what he put himself through. I mean, you have people to this day that talk about what Mick Foley went through with Hell in a Cell, but in having his ear tore off by barbed wire by Vader in Japan. But when you talk stuff like that, Sabu's done stuff too, as you mentioned, the barbed wire matches and tearing his biceps and taping him up to continue matches and breaking his neck and still continuing matches to finish them. He cared about the crowd. He wanted to entertain the fans, and it showed through the fact that he was willing to sacrifice his body in way, shape, or form and would still make sure he finished a match.
Yeah, I mean, like you said too, but of course, like you said, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to see a picture of Sabu, type his name in and look at a picture of Sabu. Look at his body. Look at his body and see how many scars he had on his body from all the matches that he. I'm surprised he didn't.
We lost that.
I'm here.
But yeah, as he was saying, you can Google Sabu, look at any pictures of him. You can see all the scars from the barbed wire matches and from all the other hardcore matches he was a part of. It's just, you could see looking at him that he put his body in through a lot, again, like we said, just for the benefit of the crowd. And
Yeah.
I think Eddie is back here. We lost you there for a moment. Finish what
It's
you,
all right.
you were saying.
Yeah. Like you were saying, but go and look at his scars. That man should have been gone a long time ago because he put himself through hell of a matches. I mean, I love Mick Foley, and I know you do. I know you do, Tony. We love Terry Funk, but Sabu was above the rest. I mean, Mick did some crazy shit back in the day, even Terry did, but their moments are different than Sabu's moments, memorable moments. Mick Foley, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Tony. Mick Foley's career moment was when he fell off that Hell in a Cell at King of the Ring in 1998. That what made Mick Foley to what he is now. Same thing goes for Terry Funk. People know him as the King of the Death Matches. Sabu was the King of the Death Matches every year. That motherfucker, every year he put himself through a lot of bullshit. He is the original hardcore original. And I hate when people said, who is the true king of hardcore? Sabu's got to be there. Mick Foley, Terry Funk. And no, we are not going to put Matt Cardona because that guy is not 10 times not better than, yeah, 10 times. He could be the demigod. He could do what the hell he wants to do, but there's some guys that you put in the Mount Rushmore of hardcore. Hell, I put Nick Gage. That guy uses a fork on everybody and uses a pizza slicer. Like, what the hell? We're not cheese whiz.
I think he thinks his name's Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah, most definitely. You know who else I think is hardcore? We could debate this all night. You gotta put Abdullah the Butcher into that too.
I agree.
And there's one more guy I'm going to mention. I know he's no longer with us anymore.
Of hardcore extremists.
You definitely got to put New Jack. New Jack broke his skull diving off to hit one of the ballsy guys, or whatever the fuck their goddamn name was. Yeah.
Yeah, New Jack was definitely a crazy kind of hardcore. Different kind of hardcore. But yeah, Sabu will always remember his hardcore style, like I said, and giving it his all for the fans. So he will definitely be missed, to say the least. But we shall go on and remember him as Taz has, as Rob his thoughts on everything. Prayers with his family, of course, as they're going through everything with Sabu just a few days ago. Well, more stuff as the days and weeks by, I'm sure, that we don't know about yet. But as I said, he will live on forever. Many people use different things in hardcore matches that you see in Sabu, and it was the originator of that we still see as well. So never be forgotten.
Yes, he won't.
With that being said, though, we look to be back on the air here next week, probably next Thursday again, and we'll. I'm gonna try it on here probably again. We'll be doing our GLWA review show for their. I think we're on their March show. We're a little behind, but they haven't done their May show until the end of the month, I think. So we're only behind by 2 months, technically. And then, of course, we've got in a couple weeks the Money in the Bank premium live event, which I will be. At least I think John will be joining me. Eddie will be away at that point in time. He must have his predictions sent in to us that for Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide the same day as well.
Yes, I will be. I will be back home in
That's our
New
next couple
York.
weeks.
When Money in the Bank is happening, I will be in New York, back in my hometown in the Bronx, celebrating my birthday week. My birthday is June 4th. So I'll be celebrating my birthday back home in New York. And instead of me being on live, because internet in a hotel really sucks, um, so I will just send in my predictions for that. So Tony can read it and I can tell him who I think's gonna win. But let's not get too far for that. We still have Saturday night's main event coming up pretty soon. We got, that's going to be a big thing coming up. We got some good matches already added to that card. So yeah, I mean, we got Battleground that's coming up pretty soon from Tampa. The first time on WWE on NXT television. It's going to be, if you say his name, he will appear. We Believe in Joe Henry going up against Trick Willie himself, Trick Williams. And then you got Jordan Grace against Stephanie Valcaire, and that's going to be a good match. And then Tony D'Angelo, my boy, how you doing? Going up against his former family member, Stacks. And then Obafemi going up against a surprise out of the Battle Royal, Miles Bourne, which I never knew that he was deaf. And I want to say something about that. That is amazing.
Yeah, he's partially deaf.
Yeah, that is amazing that a guy that is partially deaf is living out his dream. And it's going to be a rough time because, Oba's going to completely destroy him, or we might see the end of the Catch Corner crew because Charlie Dempsey looks like he's not happy that it's not his title shot. Yeah. What you gonna get? What you gonna get? It's William Regal's son. I mean, what the hell? It's like a version of the Blue Bloods. Nobody gives a shit. you know.
Yes, it's a good spot for baby Randy, as they call him, because he looks so much like Randy Orton. Uh, Getting this title match with Oba, the
If he
match
could
against
learn the
Oba. So,
RKO, if he could learn the RKO, it would be amazing.
right? Yet he does some of the same things as Randy. I mean, the drop kick he hits is all so.
Most definitely, and it's great to see Crime Time coming back.
Yeah, we might come on anyways too, but we'll see. Um, but I think we're pretty much gonna wrap this show up for the night. I got one thing I want to do to end it. Anything else you want to mention before we go off with it?
No, but first of all, we missed you guys, and we are looking forward to doing some stuff down the road. So let's have a good summer. I mean, let's like boot to asses, man. We're gonna keep doing this, and have fun about what we do.
That's for sure. Again, last time you'll see us because I'm gonna play us out with a video. But here's to the memory of Sabu. You still kind of see us on the side. pushed that, but I'm not sure if it stopped going live yet.
Okay. I think Tony's off. I can look pretty. Hey, you know, look at this. Hi, hello.